Imagine this. You go to the store, fill up 3 grocery bags, and then throw one of them straight into the trash the moment you get home. You wouldn't do that, right? It seems ridiculous. But in reality, that's exactly what's happening across the United States. On average, 30 to 40% of all food produced in this country is wasted. That's nearly half of the food we grow, buy, and cook. Just gone. Today, I want to talk about why food waste is such a serious problem in the US and why reducing it is something we all need to take seriously. This isn't just about individual responsibility. Food waste affects our environment, our economy, and millions of Americans who are suffering from food insecurity. In this speech, I'll start by explaining the scope of the problem. Then we'll look at some of the main causes. And finally, I'll offer realistic, practical solutions that individuals, businesses, and policymakers can act on today. So, how bad is it? According to the USDA, up to 40% of the US food supply goes uneaten each year. That's about 130 billion pounds of food wasted annually. Meanwhile, over 34 million Americans, including more than 9 million children, live with food insecurity, meaning they don't consistently have enough nutritious food to eat. So on one hand, we're throwing food away. On the other, we have millions who are struggling to get by. That's not just inefficient, it's unjust. Let's look at the impact of the 3 areas. Economic. Food waste costs the US more than $400 billion each year. That's the value of the food itself, not including the labor, transportation, or the landfill costs. Environmental. When food ends up in landfills, it rots and releases methane, a greenhouse gas that is over 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Food waste is the single largest category of material in American landfills, so reducing food waste is actually one of the most effective ways to fight climate change. Social. While some families toss out extra food, others can't afford enough to eat. That highlights serious inequalities in access and distribution. There are also psychological and emotional effects. Many people feel guilty about wasting food, and although the psychological impact is indirect, waste also contributes to the malnutrition by preventing resources from reaching people who need them. So, what's causing all the waste? One major factor is consumer behavior. Most of us don't mean to waste food. We overbuy, forget what we have, or misunderstand food labels. The Natural Resources Defense Council found that Americans waste about 1 pound of food per person a day. And a big reason for this confusion over food date labels is the terms like best by, sell by, or use by often lead people to throw food away even when it's still perfectly good. These labels are not about safety. They're usually just indicating when the food is at its peak quality. The other major factor is systemic. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. It's inefficiencies in our food supply chain. On farms, produce that doesn't meet cosmetic standards, like a misshapen carrot or a bruised apple, is often discarded, even if it's perfectly edible. In grocery stores, shelves are overstocked to appear abundant, which leads to expired inventory. In restaurants, oversized portions and inconsistent demand result in uneaten meals being tossed out every night. In short, the problem starts long before the food reaches our home. The good news. This is a problem we can solve. First, we need to standardize food labeling laws. The federal government can create clear, consistent rules for what best by, used by really mean. This would reduce confusion and help consumers keep good food out of the trash. Second, let's expand tax incentives for food donations. Right now, large corporations get tax breaks for donating excess food, but small businesses don't qualify. By making it easier for small restaurants and grocery stores to donate what we can rescue food that would otherwise be wasted. Now, let's talk about what we can do on a personal level. Planned meals and making a shopping list. This reduces impulse buying and prevents food from spoiling before we use it. You can learn the difference between spoilage and cosmetic flaws. A brown spot doesn't mean something bad. It just means it's not perfect. Use your freezer. Leftovers or food you can't finish today can be saved for another time. And consider using apps. Some apps you see on a daily, like Imperfect Foods, they'll send you boxes of food that isn't cosmetically good enough for stores and is being sold out and reproduced. This people with families that will take over and eat the unwasted food. But perhaps most importantly, we need to change our attitude toward food. We live in a culture that values abundance and convenience, but that comes at a cost. Food is not just a product, it's a resource, one that uses land, water, energy, and labor to produce. By wasting food, we're wasting all of those things too. Let's review. Food waste in the U.S. is a massive problem. It drains our economy, contributes to climate change, and deepens social inequality. It's caused by individual habits and systematic flaws, but we're not powerless. We can fix this through policy change, personal responsibility, and a shift in how we think about food. We can reduce waste and create more sustainable, just food system. Wasting food isn't just a personal mistake, it's a lost opportunity. An opportunity to feed someone, an opportunity to reduce pollution, an opportunity to do better. So let's take that opportunity. Let's rethink the way we shop, eat, and share food. Reducing waste just isn't a trend. It's a necessary shift for our future. Thank you. Oh my God.